Okay, so for this video, we're going to try to kind of show the macro planning, so the kind of big picture of this upcoming training block. I put that in quotes because I don't know what races are going to happen, and I don't know. I'm hopeful that come around August, they'll start opening back up and I'll be able to race something. That would be my preferred time to do my next kind of big race, one that I really care about as well. So that's kind of going to be what I'm planning for. But I'm not going to really have anything specific in mind. So some of the details to these weeks that we have planned here are going to be changed. You can probably already see that we have a week in the books here since I've started back up again. I mentioned this in my kind of Cleveland Marathon recap video that at the very end I pulled a muscle and I had to take some time off. This Sunday actually would have been the marathon. Who knows if I would have BQ'd or Boston qualified or not, but it is what it is and we're kind of moving forward. So the past week, we kind of just got out the door again and kind of shook some rust off, I guess. So I didn't really feel the need to really say much about this week. It was not very planned. It was just kind of whatever I was feeling that day. I have never planned on Google Calendar before for a training block, so we're going to try on here and it might show us a better picture. I usually use like a Google Sheet or maybe something on Strava in the recent weeks, but we'll see. One of my biggest things for this video is I'm going to try to show total weeks and kind of my build up throughout the summer. And if you notice, I have mine in purple, or this like purple pink color called Project PR. I thought that'd be a cool name for just the idea. I want to set some PRs this fall. I don't have any real distance in mind, although I'm bouncing back and forth between a couple. All I know right now is I want to get my base mileage up, so that's going to be the game plan. And I have some of our cross-country plans in here as well. So if we have time, then we will get into those too. If not, maybe I'll make that a separate video. So let's go ahead and get into it. I like to ramble in these, so I'll try to keep it shorter. You see I did 25 miles this past week. I did 7 yesterday, and then we'll talk about this in a minute. The reason I just went ahead and did this, like I said, just shook some rust off. So we said that August is kind of what we're looking for when I want my base mileage kind of up. So what I'm going to say, let's actually go back one so we can see this full week right here, is by the time August hits, I want to have a 70-mile week in the books. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in that this is going to be a total of 70. So the reason I'm thinking that right now, number one, I'm starting kind of from the back and I'm going to work my way forward to now. So I want to start at the end and then we're going to kind of build down from there. The reason I picked 70, so we topped off at 63 for the marathon training block. 70 would allow me to still keep that marathon idea alive if I wanted to go there. Or if I was focusing on like a mile or a 5K, it's easier to bump down from 70 to like 60 or 50 than it would be to go up. So this is probably going to be the max. I doubt I go much over 70. We'll see if we even get there. But that's going to be the game plan for right now, barring some race on like this weekend that pops up or something like that. Okay, so there's kind of a couple different ways that most people go about kind of building up their mileage. A common rule you would see is 10% added on each week. I also like to keep it a bit more simple. I usually just do like 5 to 10 miles, and that usually falls in that range depending on what I'm running. But I'm going to say that the week before it's going to have a total of 65. Let's say that's the game plan. These kind of round numbers like that, counting by fives if nothing else, intrinsically it helps me kind of hit those. Like if I'm 65 sounds a lot better than like that 63 I hit, so that would give me the encouragement, I think, to hit 2 more miles on the week. Now for that Cleveland block, I did 2 weeks of building up and 1 down. I'm going to plan right now for 3, since this is going to be during the summer instead of during our school year, so there's more rest opportunity and everything like that. I can always go back and change it if I need to. I think something that's important is to kind of stay fluid in your planning and in your training. So go by feel. It's art and science. So I'm going to call this one 60 then. So let's say total 60. And then what I realized from the Cleveland block is that after a couple weeks in a row of in that high 50s, low 60s, that's when I hit that like level up kind of training. So I felt myself getting in better shape in a hurry too. So that's why I want these all in a row like that. I would actually love if I could make this week right here in the 60s too, but I don't think I'm ready for like 4 weeks in a row of that. So I'm going to call this like a down week. Let's say, and we'll probably have to go back and mess with this one, but let's say this one's at like 40. So with like 40, for example, that's something where I could hit that while running only 6 days instead of 7 for the week, so that would give me a complete off day, and that wouldn't be too terrible. If I really wanted to, I could even do it in 5 and hit some 8-mile runs. I don't know if we're getting away with the point of the rest week, though, at that point. Another nice thing is I think you can probably see I have some races pulled up here that I've been eyeballing. If somehow like the Quaker 5K happens, that would probably be this day, I'm thinking, the 11th. I haven't really looked at it too much. If somehow that 5K happens, maybe I could run that, and this would be on the down week, so it would be like a mini taper where you kind of cut miles and let yourself get refreshed. Okay, going back to this. Let's say that I want to be at 60 again here. So let's say coming into July is what would be going on here. Coming into July, I'm hitting 60 with a rest week, and then another 60 to kind of feel out that territory. 65, 70. Okay, let's keep going back. So we have, if you notice, I'm kind of planning in reverse. That's one of the big things here. And I'm keeping my jumps in mileage small. So 5 miles a week for somebody running 60 or 70, that's really not too many, I don't think. Okay, so looking at June now, so that's that last 60. Building up to 60, so remember I'm going in kind of back to front here. I'm going to say this one's probably 55-ish then. Now if I hit 54 and 61 or something like that, I'm not going to be upset by that or anything. That would make this 50. And now if we think about it, we have kind of 3 weeks in a row here of we're at a high mileage, we're building up, we take one down. This probably needs to be a down week again. And if my later down week is 40, this one probably needs to be even less. Let's say this is like 35. That means from here, if I'm following a similar strategy to what I was following in July, with the kind of 60, 40, 60, here maybe I go 50, 35, 50. So I'm kind of sticking in an area for like a 3 week period, letting my body adjust a bit before I go up. Um, Something that, if we get into these or maybe in another video, something that I wish I knew when I ran in high school is that 50 miles a week isn't crazy high for a good distance runner. I mean, it depends what you define as good, but if you want to reach your full potential, that's not anything out of the ordinary. I don't think like a freshman in high school needs to be hitting that, but if you're a senior boy or something like that, you could be hitting 50 miles. There's definitely runners out there, like the higher individuals at state running 70, so it's not as crazy as it seems. I wish I would have had the knowledge my junior, senior year that 20 wasn't enough. It didn't seem like a lot, but I knew nothing else, so just something to put out there. Okay, so we are going back to May here. So if it was 50, the last one, let me double check that. That was 50. So this would probably need to be like 45. And now that would put me on this week here. I had 25. I've kind of had in my head 35 here. So if you notice, I'm making some bigger jumps at the beginning. That's probably going to be doable, even though it's not following that same rule I had in place before. That's probably doable because I was at high 50s, low 60s for a while just 2 weeks ago or so. So that's not too much of like a shock to the system for my body or anything. So I'm guessing it's going to be fine to go from 25, 35, 45, and then when we kind of settle into this routine, I'm going 50, 35, 50, 55, 60, 40, 60, 65, 70. And then that next week, like the first full week of August would then be like a down week too. Nice thing for us is cross starts on August 1st. That's a Saturday. Maybe we'll have a practice then to kind of break everybody in, and then they'd get a guaranteed rest day on the 2nd. But if I'm taking a down week in the first full week of their practice, that gives me more coaching opportunities, so that kind of lines up nicely. The only other thing that I'm thinking here is if this is going to be too aggressive. 25 didn't feel crazy, but it was definitely obvious that I had taken 10 days off or so. So we'll see how that feels. Like I said, this is going to be basically an overview, so I'm not going to sit and fill in each day, but I will talk about kind of my thought process there. Notice here, I don't really have anything extra on the labels here other than Wednesday I had a fast finish long run is what that is. The only reason I did 8 miles is I found a new trail I'd never run and I just felt good, so I just went, and then I felt good at the end, so I sped up. It was just all on feel there, so nothing planned. I've actually not just started. The last couple weeks I've been doing, 20 minutes of core, abs, something extra drills each day. I need to get better of actually writing that down. I did it day 1 and then stopped, and I did it right here too. This is an app that I've been using. I'm on intermediate abs day 1, intermediate abs day 2. So that's what we're working on there. So nothing crazy. The game plan is for the first few weeks of a training block to keep everything real easy. So you want your body to only kind of deal with one stress at once. So if I'm building up mileage, that's a stress on the body. You don't want to be building up mileage and, let's say, intensity at the same time, or at least not to a high extent. So that tells me I probably want to wait until this week to add in some intensity, and then there will already be some workouts in here before I start building again, and then it'll be easier to handle. So this would be week 1 of the training block, 2, 3, 4, and probably 5 if this is meant to be a rest week. We're probably going to get 5 weeks, maybe 4, depending how we feel right here, of strictly base building. So what base building is, in case you're new to running or you're checking this out as like a cross-country runner on the team or something like that, we need a foundation to your aerobic capacity, so basically your breathing in a distance race. The ability to get the oxygen through your body. So the thought process, kind of like building from this total back, same kind of thing here, kind of like a pyramid. We want to think, okay, for me to run a PR, a personal record, and we'll just say a 5K for right now, that's the race I've raced the most, I need to be able to hit like a key workout the week before of, I don't know, like 4 by a mile with short rest at my PR pace. I know I can't walk out the door and do that right now. So to be able to do that, okay, I need to be able to run so many miles, and I need to be able to do maybe 3 by a mile at that pace with longer rest. So that would occur somewhere here. And to do that, I need to eventually be able to hit that pace. So that's where we get into some fartlek running, like on, off, hard, easy running. Some strides to get speed built in, maybe some shorter repetitions, like a half mile times 3 or 4. So we think about the process from the end, and then we go back to the start and kind of deconstruct it. What needs to happen to build up to there? So up through probably this week 5, it's going to be base building. That's all aerobic capacity, and I know my body that once I get into this 50s, 60s range, it's going to start to click. After that, probably in this next 3-week section before a down week, we're going to start adding in like tempo runs, so just comfortably hard running, maybe some progressive running, like get faster as you go. We'll do some long runs up here because it's not really faster running, and strides maybe where it's just like 20-second bursts. But this is where we'll get into maybe fartlek runs of 5 minutes hard, 2 minutes easy, 4 minutes hard, 1 minute easy, something like that. I would like to add in some hills here too, although most of my goal races are going to be completely flat, I think, so I don't know if we'll do any specific hill workouts, or maybe we'll just run some hilly routes along the way. Another recovery week. This is where we would start adding in some track intervals if I was racing this week or the week after, or at least some flat fast intervals of 1,000, so like 1K times 5 or 6 at the goal pace, or mile repeats, 800, something like that. And then hypothetically, let's say I race in middle of August or something like that, like the Lore City 10K is one that I got my eyeballs on now. That would probably be like this date maybe. From 70, I could maybe go back down to 50 or so, kind of let my body adjust a little bit, get caught back up, get the tired legs refreshed a little bit, and then I could taper here where I kind of slash the volume without hurting my overall fitness for just a few days, and maybe just do like 20 miles these couple days here and take a couple days off. So that would be my thought process. Okay, we'll probably call this just a video here. It was good for me to sit down and put this on the calendar. Maybe on a separate video we'll go through and talk about what I'm thinking for these different cross-country plans. Maybe that would be interesting. Okay guys, hopefully you found this interesting. Let me know what you're thinking, and we'll see you.